300 series engineers, I can't believe this. I don't really think they've ever been off-road. The underbody of this vehicle, fully exposed. Check this out. That's right, you guessed it. That noise, that isn't metal. That's a plastic guard on a plastic bowl. This thing's a 300 series, the king of the off-road. Really, Toyota? I wouldn't have made it plastic. Okay, so we've got the wheel off, and you can see straight through here. It is very vulnerable to anything. It has access for all sorts of debris coming through here. And as you can see, the ride height, the suspension's full droop. So you imagine when the vehicle's on the floor, this is even closer to the ground. It's just a recipe for disaster in my opinion. Okay, with that said, let's head over to the workbench and I'll show you the solution for this problem. Fuel filtration protection bracket. It's one of the easiest things you're going to do on your 300 series. As you can see, 2 stainless steel bracketries, not many nuts and bolts, and a couple of pitches, and you're going to protect your factory fuel filter under your 300 series right now. Okay, so the other key feature, and this is the one I really like, working on cars and having to change fuel filters, as you'll see, the bottom comes off. Now, you can change the factory fuel filter. You can screw the bowl off with this off, change your filter, put this back on, and it's all done with factory tools, and you can do it on the roadside. We've designed it to be serviceable. Many haven't, we have. I've worked on cars and I know what it's like to have to take all the bash pans off. It's a lot of hard work for a simple design that could be right on point, and that's the box we've ticked on this one. Check these guys out. Color pictures, step by step, really simple. It's a straightforward kit. This is going to be one of the easiest items you fit to your 300 series. So let's head straight under the vehicle and show you where this guy mounts. So we're under the vehicle of the 300 series, fuel guard bracket, PDP fuel guard bracket, the point of difference it does, and what will it do for you, and how will it protect your 300 series? Well, straight away, top bracket, it mounts onto the factory pickup points of the factory fuel filter. You're going to see, like I mentioned, 2-piece design. However, we've got these tabs here and here. They rest on the chassis. If you're going to get a large impact, this little factory tab that everyone else bolts their bracket to on the market, that's going to bend straight up. You're going to have an issue off-road, and it's not going to offer the protection your 300 deserves. So what we've designed is the tabs. You'll see when we install it, they rest on the chassis, and better yet, 2-piece design. So if you need to service the fuel filter roadside, because you never know when you may get contaminated fuel, serviceability, protection, 300 series, job done, and it's not made of plastic. So once again, if you haven't already cleaned the area, we have. We've already fitted the pre-fuel filter kit at the back here. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we're not going to expose the fuel system in this one, but why I'm saying to clean it is we've got electrical connectors. You can see these guys right up here and up here. There's a couple of sensors. We don't want to open them up and get exposed moisture, dirt and debris. We want to keep all the electrical pin tensions and connectors clean and tidy so they don't set off engine lights. Okay, so first of all, we're going to take off this grey connector here, thumb and forefinger. You can just see here, push down on the tab, dislodges, get that one out of the way. This larger one over here, you're going to see just here, if you push up this grey tab, if you see in there, the back of it, you can see me push on it now, just push it up. It's a lever lock connector. It is a bit of a positive connection on this one. And what I'll show you is you're just pushing up on this grey tab here to dislodge it off the edge here. Lever the grey, the darker grey over, and the connector will slide off, and away you go. Now we're going to undo this bolt here. We're also going to loosen off this bolt. There's one here, and then also there's one right underneath. You see it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so the last bolt, we're going to get a socket over from the top and come back down on this one here. And we've got one more connector here. You can just push on there and then pull down. Just to show you again, where we've pushed on is just here, and we've dislodged the connector, this one here. So we're going to take that bolt out there. I'm using a 12mm socket. with a bent or gooseneck ratchet, just coming in from the top, and I can just loosen it off just like that, and away you go. Now we see the whole filter assembly is just nice and loose sitting there. Now a little trick, you can leave that guy there and you can take this bolt out, and you don't have to loosen this one all the way off in situ if it's a bit hard for you. Now there is a bit of adjustment in this bolt as well, in this bracket. So when you put it back up, don't do this bolt and this one first, get the back bolt started up, but I'll show you that when we go to install. Okay, so we've just got the fuel filter just sitting there. There's two more connectors, little push-in tabs to dislodge this grey connector, the locator. Also there is another black plug further back. Just need to disconnect that as well. Sometimes with the connectors as well, if you can't dislodge the connector, push it in, then release the tab, then pull it out. Don't try and pull it out and be releasing at the same time. It sometimes will just catch on things like that for you. So you see, just like that, what I've done here is I've pushed in these little white tabs here and pop that connector out. Now, fuel assembly is sitting there. Like I was saying, you've got some sensors and plugs. Don't damage these connectors. It's all expensive stuff, genuine aluminum, so just be careful with it all. Make sure it all goes back into place nice and easy, and hence that's why we clean it all, so we don't get any debris in those connectors. One bit of grain of sand in the back of these connectors, sometimes it won't push home, so like I say, just inspect them. They're all nice and clean. This car's new. If your car's been off-road, you want to check that out. Okay, so what we've got here, we've got the upper half of the bracket. We've got the original bolts. I'm just going to bolt these back in just as a guide to line the holes up. The reason is we're going to put one bolt in and do it up, and we just want to make sure all the holes and threads are lined up. So we don't have to tighten them all the way up. Just going to put in the M8 bolt into the chassis rail here. As you can see, our tabs, they're all sitting there ready for the chassis. So now it's all lined up. Do this bolt up here, take these back out, reverse fit our fuel filter, and away we go. Simple as. So I'm just holding this in position while I do it up. Obviously the holes do have slots in them. Another note as well, while you are doing it up, a new car's fine, all the threads in the chassis are going to be fine. However, if it is got some K's on it, been off-road, mud, dirt and debris, check the threads are clean before you go and send a bolt home and have a thread that's not going to be happy with you. Just like that. Now what we're going to do is reverse fit and put the black connector on this guy right here. Okay, so first of all, black connector here. You'll see these guys here. It's got an index here. That's at the bottom. It's going to slide on this way. You're going to hear it lock into place. So when you hear it clip in, and away you go. Same thing there. Pop this wiring harness back into place here. The large connector we took off, I'm going to flip that over. The lever lock connector. Okay, so the large lever lock connector, you're going to push on the back of the connector, roll it over, and you're going to hear it snap into place. I'm going to pop that back in the chassis rail. The bolt at the back here is different to the two at the front on the fuel filter. It's got a large washer head. You slip up the two longer bolts. Okay, so I've just checked all the threads. They're all lined up. We're just going to tighten them all up evenly. As we're doing it, you just wiggle the fuel housing, make sure you're happy where it's all sitting. Now lastly, the fuel filter is aligned to the new spaced location. I'm now going to do up the bolt into chassis. and then the fuel filter housing bolt as well. Then go around and just do the last tighten up on everything. And last of all, put the lower bracket on. Okay, so we've just done a last check off, bolt into the chassis, bolt onto the tab to the fuel filter, the two long bolts, the back behind the fuel filter, and before we put the factory fuel filter back in place, you saw we did the M8 into the chassis rail. Now, last of all, last connector, run through your connectors, black connector here, grey one here, dark grey here, lever lock, big connector at the back here. They're all on, ready to go. Now let's just slip the lower guard on and the masterpiece is almost done. Okay, so to prepare the lower guard, we've just got two M6s. Just going to pop them through. Do those guys up there. So we're just going to tighten them up now and we'll slip this straight into place. So the last piece is to slip this guard in. It's going to go straight there, just like that. Bolt in here, bolt in there, nut and bolt, and away you go. And you can see plenty of clearance, heaps of protection. Now, best thing, if you impact this, you'll see what I was saying about these tabs. They're on the chassis rail. It's going to protect that factory fuel filter. So you can see I'm using tools, workshop tools here, or ringing in a ratchet. However, in the vehicle, roadside, Toyota do have 12mm in the factory boot, in the toolkit. So once again, we've kept all the nuts and bolts to be metric, just like Toyota do. There's nothing worse than having to take extra tools away when you hit the road to go touring. All right guys, I said this bracket's strong and I'm saying our bracket is the superior one on the market. I've got the workshop jack, I've just slid it under the back of the 300 series. I'm going to lift the whole vehicle just off the hoist to show you that it can support the weight of the vehicle. There's no other bracket on the market that rests on the chassis. It's going to offer your fuel filter the protection that we do with our bracket. So check this out. Okay, so you've just seen, we've jacked the whole rear vehicle up, lifted it just off the floor with the jack on our protection bracket. Protect your fuel filter. That's how strong it is. Tell me if you've got another bracket on the market that's going to do that. Like I said, it's capturing the chassis rail, not the factory bolts. And just like that, guys, rock solid, factory fuel filter is protected. If you've got a 300 series, get in touch with us. All the accessories, fuel kits, dual batteries, we've got you covered. Till the next video, I'll see you out on the tracks.